Who's going to lead us through the agenda? Are you guys okay with the past meeting minutes I sent?
This is Greg. I was not present at the September meeting, so I abstained from any observation on that. I'm fine with the October minutes.
Thank you. So if everybody else is okay, I'll just call them both approved. So I guess usually the board chair walks us through the agenda, but we don't have a board yet. So Anna, can you start your report?
Absolutely. So I'm going to try to get through this pretty quickly. Like I mentioned, we have September, October, and November. So I think what I'm going to do is just quickly do the month of September and October, and then wait until November to do the year to date. And if it's okay with everybody, I think we'll just wait for November to do the claims by county, if everyone's okay with that, rather than doing the monthly claims by county.
Sounds good.
All right. I'm a little rusty here. Okay, there's the share button. Let's see.
Anna, if I may, I thought that we presented the September report at the October annual meeting. Am I incorrect on that?
I don't believe we did. I think that we didn't do board reports for that meeting. I think that was I think the annual meeting was a different kind of meeting, but I might be wrong.
No, you're correct, Anna. We did not.
Okay.
All righty. Can everybody see the board report?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, perfect. All right. So for the month of September, our top spending categories were homicide at $12,583.76, followed by aggravated assault at $6,098.40, and then domestic assault at $5,909.85. In terms of categories, our top spending was funeral at $15,503.12, followed by lost wages at $6,817.43, and medical physician at $3,115.47. Any questions? All right, I'm going to go ahead and move on to October. All right. So we did see an uptick in spending for the month of October. We had some pretty large payments during the month of October. Sorry. So our top spending category for October was aggravated assault at $22,006.59, followed by homicide at $20,695.10, and followed by domestic assault at $19,782.91. Our top spending category for the month of October was counseling, which we usually don't see. That was $16,890.25, followed by lost wages at $15,268.92, and then that was followed by rent and relocation at $10,922. So as I mentioned, we did spend more in October than we typically do, but that was due to some large payments. All right, and I will move on to November, where we can do the year to date. So for the month of November, our top spending category was domestic assault at $14,606.02. That was followed by homicide at $11,769.79. And thirdly was aggravated assault at $8,260.35. We made a total of 69 payments on 37 claims, totaling $43,518.04. And for the sexual assault program, we made 5 payments on 3 claims, totaling $12,664.19. For both programs combined, we made 74 payments on 40 claims. So top spending categories for the month of November was funeral, $10,457.49, followed by lost wages at $9,261.21, and then rent and relocation at $7,339.62. Head on over to year to date. So year to date, it's actually been interesting so far. We typically see homicide as his top spending category, and that's not the case so far this year. Top spending category in terms of crimes has been for domestic assault at $67,970.52. That's followed by homicide at $55,874.88, and then aggravated assault at $53,002.70. And our top spending category so far in FY26 is actually not funeral. It has been medical facility at $44,539.41 so far, followed by funeral at $44,041.55, and lost wages at $42,035.49. So far for FY26, both programs combined, we have spent $283,066.31. Any questions? I know that was a lot of numbers all at once. All right, so I'll quickly head over to claims by county for November. So for the month of November, we received a total of 25 claims. We did not receive any claims from Bennington, Caledonia, Franklin, Grand Isle, Lamoille, Orange, or Wyndham. So it was quite a few we did not see anything from for this month. So for November of 2025, we received a total of 25 claims, in contrast to last year receiving 44, which was a 43.18% decrease. Year to date for the comp program, we've received 160 claims. Last year, we had received 204, totaling a 21.57% decrease. For the sexual assault program, for the month of November, we received 14 claims as opposed to the 24 we received last November, for a 41.66% decrease. And total sexual assault claims year to date, we have received 77. Prior FY, it was 90, for a 14.44 decrease. So we are receiving less applications overall, at least for the month of November. And there is where we are at so far in terms of the claims you receive from each county. If there's no questions, I can pass it on to whoever's next, just so we can make sure we get to those cases. But if there's any questions, certainly let me know.
Well, just a general one, which doesn't need an answer, but is there any way to know whether other states are seeing a change in claims toward more assault as opposed to homicide, whether there's more incivility and more aggravation causing people to do that or not? That's sort of a...
What I do know is that violent crime against women specifically has been on the rise. And I think that's why we've seen, and that's nationwide, we have seen definitely an uptick in domestic assaults. And so I think that also has to do why we are spending more on medical bills rather than funeral. And so far for this year in Vermont, we have seen a reduction in homicides. So that could also explain why we're receiving less claims, because typically one homicide could potentially come with multiple applicants attached to it. Yeah, Christine, go ahead.
If that's something that you want me to find out, I can poll. We meet monthly as comp boards, all comp programs all over the country, and I can ask them if they're seeing the numbers go up or down, if that's something you want me to follow up on.
Well, if you want to, I was just curious, but
Well,
I know we're trying to push on here, so
okay.
All right, fantastic. Well, you guys should have all received this. So if you want to take a closer look at it, in your free time, absolutely feel free to do that. But I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. And thank you very much for your time.
Mel, am I up next?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Let's see. So I'm just going to share November's because I think Mel sent you September and October. So if anyone has any questions about either of those months, certainly feel free to reach out. You should be looking at the November RJO report. So in the month of November, we received a total of 92 new orders, 37 of which, so just over a third, came from Chittenden County. Otherwise, 18 came from Washington. So we have seen a slight spike in Washington County over the last couple of months with the orders, but that was certainly fairly high. One thing to note on here is that we did get 2 from Addison. The 2 months prior, we hadn't received anything. So I'm glad to see that there's been some change in advocates there, and some just other issues. So glad to see that we're at least getting something from them. The only counties we didn't receive anything from were Essex and Grand Isle, which is pretty normal across the board. One other thing I did want to point out is at the bottom, you can see like the juvenile, the diversion, and the new business. So the 10 under juvenile is not really a true representation of what was ordered in juvenile restitution in November. That's just when we actually received the orders. So 8 of those actually were from previous months, and we only knew about them because the court ran a report for the last fiscal year, and we found that we hadn't received those 8s from the court. So we're working on figuring out what's happening with some of those juvenile orders. It looks like they were sent to DCF instead of us, at least for some of the counties. So again, that's not a typical number. Usually we have a couple, but again, that does represent numbers that include orders that were ordered in prior months, but we received in November. Any questions with that? Okay, moving on real quick. Sure. You should be seeing the RU board summary. Fiscal year to date, we've hit our goal every month, with the exception of November. So we were about $1,700 shy of our goal, which is still pretty good for the month of November. November and December tend to be a little bit quieter months as far as collections. And so again, we were pretty on target, just a little bit short. We're also down 1 collection case manager, so since the end of October, so that has sort of had a little bit of an impact as well. So staff are each taking on some additional responsibilities while that position is vacant. Let's see, year to date, we've brought in just about $335,000. One thing to note is if you look at the advance in November, we only advanced just over $2,000, which Carol also noted on her financial report. So that is pretty substantially lower than what we normally do advance. As you can see, last November we were about $17,500, but that is an accurate number. It just partly depends on how orders come in, when they get documented. Some months we have a lot of like $5,000 cases, and then other months we have, a bunch of smaller cases that we're able to advance. And so year to date, I think we're pretty on target where we are. There have been some higher months and some lower months, but that's definitely a much lower month than what we typically see. Overall, we paid out 166 payments to victims for the month, and we're still receiving some tax money trickle in, so about $4,500 in November. So we will see that come down a bit for December, and then soon the new tax year will start, and so February we'll start seeing some higher numbers again for tax revenue that we're getting. Any questions with any of that? Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen. So Mel, I'm sorry, I don't have the agenda in front of me. Are we now quickly talking about tax offset letters, or do you want to do that?
Well, that is next. And then Christine was going to talk about the travel policy, but when I was prompting her, I was muted. So yeah, you go ahead with your tax letter.
Okay, so just a little sort of run through the tax process. So every October, we have to send out tax offset letters to everyone who owes at least $45 or more. And it's $45 because that's the threshold that the tax department will allow us. So anyone who owes at least $45 will get a tax letter and we can certify their name. So the letter does give them the option to write a written appeal, appealing their name to not be certified to the tax department. So they have to do so within 30 days. So in the past, Bob has signed the letter. So when we get the tax appeal letters in, I review them, make sort of my determination, write it up in a letter. Bob would then review both the letter that the offender wrote in addition to the letter, my response. And then if he agreed, he would just sign the letters and then those would go back out to the offenders. So this year we have 11. So Bob obviously is not here. So we just need to sort of figure out who is going to take that piece on. And just make sure that we can, get those responses out to the offenders who have appealed.
I'm assuming it needs to be a lawyer or no?
It just needs to be a board member, preferably. So it's sort of a neutral party, like even though they're still within our organization, but they're not a staff. So years ago, it would just be like MK did it for a while. Elaine, who was the RU manager, did it for a while. But when Jen came on board, she really felt like it needed to be, again, not a member of the staff, but at least somebody like a member of the board, just so it's kind of more impartial.
I mean, I'll do it if nobody else wants to do it. Greg, I don't know if you're talking, but you're muted. It looks like maybe you're talking, but maybe not.
That's fine. Thank you, Alicia.
So you guys can work that out via email. Michelle, can you communicate with Alicia to work out how you're going to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so Bob used to come here, I think, and physically sign the letters, but we can figure out how that can work out otherwise.
Do you use DocuSign? We use DocuSign. Also, I sign a lot of things, so. What's one more thing to sign?
Okay, so I just have to figure out if we do DocuSign, how that would work. We might just have to reformat the letters that I currently have. So I'm not really, I've signed things through that way, but I've never created a document to be
How
signed.
frequently do you need them signed? Just like once a year? Or
Sorry?
is it like annually or more
Yeah.
regularly?
Yeah. So
Oh,
usually
if
this
it's
time of year.
annually, like I can just like come there. It'll be fine. We'll
Okay.
talk.
Yeah.
Well, we could just
I'll reach
scan
out.
them to Alicia and then she could just sign and scan back or scan them PDF and then she replies PDF.
With all the excess funds the board has, we could buy an auto pen. Just kidding.
Well, on the agenda, we had Christine was going to talk about the proposed changes to the compensation travel cap. Do you want to do that, Christine?
Sure. I didn't know if we were going to move on to finance first, but
Well, yeah.
I'm more than happy to quickly do
Well, you need the
this.
board to vote, right? So,
Yes. So we talked about this our last meeting, but you wanted a formal proposal. So that's what you have in front of you now. The only things that I changed were I took out any mention of homicide. It now just says for all criminal cases, and I changed some of the language to make it simpler, as Word likes to have you do. Because I figured that might make things a little easier on everybody in the world. So if the
When
board,
you say it's in front of us, do you mean you're sharing your screen? Because I don't see anything, or you sent it.
we sent it. I'm
Great.
so
Okay.
sorry.
No, that's okay. Just want to make sure I wasn't missing some.
I don't think I'm a co-host, so I mean I could share my screen, but it doesn't
I
really
can
matter.
make you one if you want, if people want to see it, but do people want to see it or do you feel like you've got it in front of you already? Well, Christina made you a co-host if you want to.
Okay.
I reviewed I received the proposal by mail. I reviewed it and I'm fine with the proposed draft.
Ditto.
So is that a motion? Do we do it that way now?
Greg moves to approve the revised draft.
I would second it.
Thank you.
And the rest of you
My
agree, I
thumb
assume.
up. I did a thumbs up. That counts, right? It's
Okay, thank
recorded.
you. So I assume Susan, I'd agreed. So Carol Brochu, you can do your finance report.
Good afternoon. Hopefully you can see the financial report. I'm going to make it really brief because I see that time is passing very quickly. I believe that you've all received this prior to the meeting along with some of my notes and comments. Basically, I like to just say where we are with our special funds. Compared to last year at the same time, we can see that the victim compensation fund is doing a little better than last year. Restitution, unfortunately, is not. And the DVSV fund is doing a little better. Based on projections, unfortunately, we're still looking at deficits in all three funds. It is somewhat early in the year, but this really does kind of project based on the same time period. So it is fairly accurate in that sense. We're going to just go to the financial up. Well, I'm going to go to the fund balance summary. This really is the form that I'm most concerned with when I look at our funds where we start in the beginning of the year. Again, I like to reference it as our checkbook balance as we talk about where did we start, how much are our revenues, what's coming in, what's going out, and where is our cash balance. We can see in compensation fund that it has gone down slightly, but I did note that we switched over and we started using our state dollars again to support victim compensation claims. So in the meantime, we've been building up this cash balance by using our federal dollars to support victim compensation claims. So now we're flipping over so that we can also take advantage of the 75% reimbursement on those claims. Restitution, as I mentioned in my notes, is struggling. I'm concerned with restitution. The cash balance has been dropping consistently for the last several months, and we're seeing that this balance is going down month after month. So again, it's something that Jen's aware of. We've talked about basically trying to come up with revenue sources or how we can stabilize this funding. The DVSV fund, again, this is grant related, so it's a quarterly thing so that we often see that there are higher expenditures every quarter. So again, that's kind of holding itself right now. We'll see where that goes based on, again, the revenues going forward. Federal funds really are just a wash account, so it just varies depending on when the draws are. So again, I'm not going to get into a lot, simply because I know you have the cases to do as well.
Yeah, and along with the cases, before you start those, could everybody, can we set the January meeting date? We can always do the rest of the year after that, but I sent around proposed dates and I was thinking if we stick with the Monday schedule, January 12th or 26th.
This is Greg. Either date works for me, so whatever the rest of the board prefers is fine with me.
Same.
Richard and Susan, do you care? Should we go with January 12th?
For what?
January 12th for the next meeting. We have to set the next year's meeting dates. Will that work for you, January 12th?
As far as I know, my daughter's
Okay.
heading abroad and things are gonna,
Okay,
So-
well, why don't we set that and we can schedule the rest of the year in January so you guys can get to the cases. So I can stop recording then and we can get onto the cases. So let me just stop this.
Don't we have to do the board chair?
Oh, yes, my God. Thank you, Christine.
You're welcome.
Jen, do you have any comments on that? On how the board votes on a chair or suggestions? You're muted.
This is my first rodeo on the election of a chair, so I don't know how it's been done before. So I don't have any particular comments, Mel. I think the important thing is that it should be somebody who's familiar with Robert's rules, and just that kind of more formal aspect of what we do.
Greg, I think people were thinking you might be a good candidate. Would you be willing to be the chair?
I would. I was on our town's development review board for 22 years. I know the rules of procedure. I know the Vermont open meeting law. I know Robert's rules of order. So I don't want to take anyone's thunder, but I'm happy to serve if that's everybody's wish.
Yes, please. I don't follow any rules of order, so that would be great.
Okay, that's sounds good to me, Greg.
Yep. Yep, me as well.
Okay, great. All right, well, I'm going to turn off the recording and we'll end this public part, public meeting. Bear with me. Where is this thing? Recording.